Like, this is the original cult midnight movie that has an insane screening that is truly its own thing.
The Rocky Horror Picture Show.
Transsexual Transylvania.
The story is strange.
Drive-By Movies here. My name is James.
My name is Blaze.
And never have I ever seen the Rocky Horror Picture Show, the cult classic from 1975.
Great Scott!
So give yourself over to absolute pleasure. See the Rocky Horror Picture Show.
The Rocky Horror Picture Show is from 1975. It's directed by Jim Sharman. It's about a newly engaged couple that's car breaks down and they seek shelter in an ancient castle that is quite bizarre. So James, this was your first time watching Rocky Horror Picture Show. I know that I had tried to watch this at one point in time, but I think I was so not into musicals. I hadn't reached the point in time in which, Singing in the Rain would have become one of my favorite films of all time. It was a very different me at that time when I started watching this film, and I think I only made it to like the first song and I tapped out. Like before anything even gets weird, like when they're kind of singing, it's like outside the church after they get married and they're kind of singing.
Yeah,
like that's when I tapped out of this movie, so
that's
I never even made it.
Too.
Yeah, that's what I was saying. I made it like 5 minutes in. I didn't finish the film, obviously. Did finish it this time around, but we're not here to talk about me. We're here to talk about you. Why'd you pick this film, I guess? I'm kind of curious in that. And what'd you think about it?
Well, definitely this is a movie that I feel like you have to watch in the right setting. I always kind of wanted my first time to see it to be like a midnight screening, but a lot of people say like no, because there's a lot of people who, do all the musical numbers in front of the screen with the movie playing behind them. Don't do that. But some people say like, no, that's the best way to experience. It's like The Room where you don't know how to experience it first. And I'm glad how I watched it was a great experience, I'd say. I watched it with a bunch of drunk coworkers and stuff. The girl I'm currently dating wanted me to like see Rocky Horror Picture Show just because like a lot of people have always said, how have you not seen this movie? Drama kids, when we were in drama class plays back in junior and senior year of high school, they would say, you've never seen Rocky Horror Picture Show? It's just that cult classic for theater kids, like, the emo kids. I was an emo kid, like just like a lot of people love it. I never got around to seeing it. And with it being Halloween, I just like thought like, okay, it's like a movie that people celebrate during Halloween, even though it's not necessarily scary. It's just weird, but there's some crazy costumes and there's some fun rock songs. It's a movie that drags a lot. There's a lot of scenes where it'll just like, okay, this song isn't needed as much and stuff. There were some catchy songs that I enjoyed. And overall, I watched it perfectly though, because everyone was effing drunk out of their mind and stuff. That's how you're supposed to watch it, with a bunch of close friends just like cracking up and making jokes and singing along, I guess. I'm glad that I didn't have people dancing in front of my movie theater screen the whole time, blocking my view of what's going on and stuff. But it's just overall madness, and I think it's meant to watch with a bunch of mad people and stuff. So that's why I chose it, and I had a fun time watching it. It's a movie that I can see myself watching like, every couple of years or so, just for fun on like, Halloween week or something. Or, well, actually, it seems like it plays every Friday at the New Art Theater here in LA or something. Are you aware of that, Blaze?
Well, I mean, I think it used to.
Okay, yeah. Pre-COVID at least, yeah. I don't know how crowded it gets there and stuff, so maybe that's something I'll experience sometime eventually. But so you never got through it, but I assume you got through it this time, though, right?
Yeah, I made it through this time.
That was a very hesitant, yeah.
I know, I'm just teasing. Yeah, of course I made it through the film. So, yeah, I guess I enjoyed it. I don't know. I didn't have any frame of reference. I watched this film by myself like a fucking loner, and it's not that enjoyable. It's not that enjoyable that way. So it's not like I hated it. It's just like, it was just, I liked the vibe. I kind of liked a lot of the sets. I liked the ambiance that they had, but I just had no frame of reference for like anything. And I don't feel like there was really a frame of reference that was going to make me enjoy it more, like it was fine. I think the best thing about the film, honestly, is the time warp. Like, that's like of course it's fun. It goes on for like 20 minutes, I felt like, but and it returns and comes back. And yeah, that's my favorite part of the movie. I think it has to be the time warp. I enjoyed the characters. I loved Susan Sarandon's character. Dr. Frankenfurter was fun. Some of the scenes are definitely like funny, especially when he's trying to like come on to Barry's character. Yeah, I mean, it had a lot. Like, there was a lot to enjoy.
Yeah, Susan and or what's it called? Or Janet, Janet and Brad, like just like seeing how they get to this point and stuff, and just like everything that they experience just from, you know, their car breaking down or whatever. They're the whole movie, they just want to make a phone call and stuff, and just like the idea that all this happens and stuff. Like there were moments where I'd take breaks and stuff. I'm like, what the hell is happening and stuff? Like maybe it makes more sense to a lot of people, but like when I was like double checking, like I always like to do a small recap before we start filming these and stuff. I'm like, no, this movie is just as mad as I thought I was. Like, granted, I was like drunk off of my mind watching it and stuff. Usually it's hard for me to handle any kind of movie when I'm like that. But just like watching it this way, though, was still hilarious and stuff. And just like, yeah.
I was going to say, I think that the easiest way to describe this film is with one word, and it's overwhelming. I think if you were to see the film in theaters, it's probably the most overwhelming thing ever, because I've heard that, like, yeah, like you said, the people, like everyone in the audience, like that's taken any drama 1-2 class is in front of the screen, and you're not even really watching Tim Curry at that point. Everyone's just going crazy. It's almost like a screening. I mean, essentially it is a screening of The Room, where it's like, this was before the Room screenings became a thing. Like, this is the original cult midnight movie that has an insane screening that is truly its own thing. They created the midnight movie with the Rocky Horror Picture Show in 1975. And I think if you were to watch it first at one of those screenings, a lot of people tell you don't go to a screening first because it is too overwhelming. When you watch the movie by itself, or I mean, just when you watch it not at a screening, it's also overwhelming. But imagine just throwing in all those extra sensory elements of being in a theater with everyone going absolutely wild.
Yeah. Well, I think with today's generation with like TikTok and Vine and stuff, with just like how crazy and sporadic everything is, like I'm sure like modern generation can handle and stuff, but you know, we had very low key like lifestyles as kids and stuff, and we liked that slow build stuff. And so yeah, I totally get where you're coming from and stuff. And like I myself found myself lost at points, and like it was like a Game of Thrones episode, like who's that? What's their deal and stuff? Like, what, another new character? Like, wait, what? Like, who are they dancing for? Nobody's really watching this and stuff. And like there were just a lot of weird moments like that, like who are they dancing for technically and stuff. Yeah, I mean, it's a musical, so like I'll let that slide. But yeah,
I mean, you could say the same in Singing in the Rain. Like, the
True.
rain is just watching them dance, I guess. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
It's a musical. I think all that like musical logic is something of its own, and I think that's kind of why a lot of these films flourish so well, is you just stop asking questions and really start enjoying the music.
Yeah, I think what I appreciated most though was just seeing like how kind of like different it was for 1975 and stuff. Like, you know, nowadays we get like a lot of movies that aren't afraid to break boundaries and stuff, but it's crazy to think like how the 70s were, because around this time we also got The Exorcist, and like, you know, that movie, we started Never Have I Ever with that episode with you checking out The Exorcist for the first time. Like, that movie still holds up with a lot of the scares and stuff. Like, yeah, granted, if you saw The Conjuring or like Insidious or, you know, I don't know, just any James Wan kind of horror film, like you've seen those kind of scenes before, so Exorcist is going to feel underwhelming. But just the idea that like those stuff that are really creepy today, though, the fact that it was all done in the 70s, and then things that, you know, are still pushing boundaries today, like, you know, we got that with this movie as well too. Like, so like I appreciated that aspect of it too, just because, you know, 1975 was a very different time from, you know, my parents were born in the 70s, so like just hearing how much we've come along since then, it's like crazy to see. And you know, it makes me appreciate stuff like this as well too.
Yeah, most definitely. This film was so, I feel like, cutting edge for its time, just alone in like kind of the stuff going on the screen was definitely things you hadn't ever seen before. So that makes it very cool. Also, the fact it's a really fun musical. Like, I think most of the songs are really good. The plot is kind of, you know, paper thin, getting from song to song, so you really just have to enjoy the music with this one.
Yeah, there were some songs I didn't like overall. I mean, my favorite song was Sweet Transvestite. I just liked Tim Curry's like, just like kind of rockish like beat going on with that song and stuff. It was catchy. Like it's not the most grand scale one, but that's usually what I like with all like kind of albums and stuff. It just like was a sweet song, I guess you can say. But like then, like I wouldn't say it's like a twist or something, but when like the big reveal happens towards the end on like, why they're there on the castle and stuff, and just like why everything is happening and stuff, like I was a little tripped out, and that also could have been overwhelming, like granted if I saw it for the first time and stuff, but I was happy to like, just have a fun time watching it on Halloween night with some close people. And yeah, like it was a good experience, and like I definitely will probably experience it again, but when COVID is no longer a thing, or well, it'll always be a thing, but when COVID's not as big of a worry, I mean, like I hope that the newer theater will play it again, and I'll have a chance to see how it's meant to be seen, as people say.
Well, being that this film has actually been in theaters since 1975, I think there's a huge probability that it'll still be in theaters in the future.
So I'm recommending it. I mean, Halloween season is officially over. Unfortunately, we're now into November, but as we were saying, though, this plays every Friday at some theaters and stuff. That's here in LA, at least. I'm not sure what it's like everywhere else, but there's a screening for it somewhere for you. So I recommend checking it out. It's a fun time. Best way to help support the show, though, is by renting it through our Amazon affiliate link in the description box below. Please do that and leave a comment letting us know what you thought about the movie.
And if you guys haven't already, go ahead and smash that like button. Go ahead and hit the subscription button and click that notification bell to get all of our latest updates.
Can't get enough of Drive-By Movies. Also, we are on Twitter, and we're also new to Instagram. Be sure to check those out in our description box below. As for this week's episode of Never Have I Ever, that's going to conclude it. So tune in next week for a brand new video.